Hello everybody, my name's Kerry and I'm the occupational therapist here at Nottinghamshire Hospice in the Wellbeing Services, and I'd just like to welcome you to the Robin room here. This is our activity room, and today I was just going to bring you some ideas about some seasonal crafts that we would perhaps have been doing if all the patients were here with us in day therapy, but as we know, you're all at home, so we were going to bring this to you just to help you remember where we were and where we still are for you. So these are the items that you might need to make these three different tree shapes. So the first one is going to be the card. So this would be birthday card or plain card. So you would need that, and you would need some pegs, maybe some glue or some stick things on to stick on. So that's the first item that we're going to make today, just to make these Christmas tree shapes here. So when I'm thinking about seasonal crafts, I'm stood here in the Robin room, and I'm looking out at our lovely grounds, and our lovely view here is of trees, and I'm thinking about trees and what that means to us really, particularly here at the hospice. We have this beautiful tree, really large tree in the garden. So when I was thinking about the seasonal crafts and what we could do with little items that you may have around your home, just to bring that season to you, it was what will that mean to you to be able to do those crafts? And how can I tie that in with the trees that are in our garden? So you'll see the shape of the tree that's up and round behind me. So, and like these items are things that you will have at home, bits of card, bits of ribbon. I don't know if you're like me, but just Christmas, birthdays, I have a little stash of all the ribbons that get taken off, and I hold on to those. So, but there's always a good reason for that when you like a little bit of crafts. So making little trees and tree shapes. So tree shapes are very different, aren't they? And how we can make that a bit more personal for us. And also some of the greenery that you bring in, that's a seasonal thing, isn't it? That we bring in the seasons into the house, so with the greenery. So I've brought in a little bit here of rosemary from the garden. And already the smell of that is lovely, and that always, makes me really think of your Sunday dinners and the smell of the stuffing that you will have with your meals. So I'm going to bring and use some of these little bits here and show you just three ideas of things that you may be able to keep your hands busy, or just watch or help with somebody else that might be able to do it with you. As we've got longer, darker days now with the light going, we're spending a bit more time inside. And it's what can we do to keep ourselves a little bit occupied, maybe distracted, but that's always a good thing, isn't it? Helps us just to relax. So I'm going to show you three little ideas. The first one is a very simple one with card. So I've got a variety of different cards here. You may well have bits and pieces all around the house. So old cards, I don't know if you use cards, keep them, or if you automatically get them recycled. So this is card, just plain card, and you'll see the shape that I've already used to cut out some of these. So these are up here. So this is a really simple Christmas tree shape, and I've got that template there already used, although those are the green ones. I've done a red one here. So once I've got that template, it's really easy then to use that on another piece, just to do the outline. So I've got a lovely collection of sort of seasonal colours here, red and green and white, and a little bit of glitter in there for the season. But you may not want to use those colours, and you may just like to have other pattern cards, like old Christmas cards or even old birthday cards. These crafts aren't just for Christmas, so you might be able to use those during the year as well. So a pattern card as well. So the idea being, and I'll show it you on a plain piece of paper so you can see. So I'm using the template there, and I'm just going to draw a line. Using my template. If you want to be really precise, you can measure that with a ruler. You'll be much neater than I will. Once I've got that, I'm obviously just going to cut that triangle out. I think the shape of the tree just needs to be a bit of an elongated triangle shape. And then the other simple idea really with that is just to use the hole punch. Now this is the tricky bit, getting the hole in the right place without going through. Marvellous, bingo, did it first time. So that's the basic shape. Now what are we going to decorate that with? So again, it's what do you have around the house. So I've got bits of glue and things that I can stick on. Got little sequin and shiny shapes here that will go on either one of these items with a bit of glue. But I did also find that I've got little dots, and they're quite effective on these shapes. I've got some shapes here with the glitter already in them as well, and they make quite a nice change. So once you've decorated that as you want, and you can see, so I feel like Blue Peter now, this is one I made earlier. So you can see some really simple shapes there that just put on in an order that was pleasing to my eye, and it's whatever goes for you. So once we've done that, then we're just getting a piece of twine or ribbon, and again this is where your supply of ribbon at home will come in handy. So I've got a little bit here of a gold colour, just because I'm going to keep that the same as what I've been doing, but you can choose whatever you like. We've all got little scraps of that, haven't we, at home? Once that's folded through the hole, that's immediately your little hanging. So, and obviously I've done these at different heights and different lengths, so you can make a display. I have seen this done in a really lovely way of making 24 of these. We're a couple of days into Advent now, but if you wanted to do it as an Advent calendar. So the 24 of them all had a different number. And then on the back, they'd printed out a little, a verse or a name or a Christmas wish, or if you're not doing it for Christmas, if it's a birthday wish, just something personal, something that means something to you and maybe your family. Sometimes a picture, or a little cutting out of a Christmas carol piece of paper, something like that, depends on what you want. Make it personal to you. Okay, the last little finishing touch for that is to put on the tree trunk. So I've got a couple of ideas there. One is a really simple, and it makes the tree, and gives it the root of the tree, the bark of the tree, and that immediately becomes a tree shape. So that's one way. You can use a peg, or you can find another piece of contrasting material there. I've got a nice glittery card here, and I'm just going to put a bit of glue on that, and that's going on the bottom here of my tree. That's a nice PVA glue, so it'll dry in the end, and that will be clear. So there's a little tree shape. So they're quite effective, aren't they? And now for this Christmas tree shape, this is the paper. You need some paper, perhaps some thicker paper. If it's already patterned, that's lovely. If you want to have it plain and decorate it, that's also fine. So you need paper, you need some stiff wire. If you've got florist wire, that's great, but if you don't, then what you're going to need there are cocktail sticks, the small ones, or the larger skewer stick. So that's what you would need for that. And again, you'll need scissors for that one and a ruler. So now we're on to the next tree shape and the other trees that we've got behind me. So these really simple pleated trees on sticks. One of the sticks is a long stick, it's like a barbecue skewer, and then the other ones that I've used are really small ones, and they're just simple little cocktail sticks. So these are really, really quick and easy to make. Again, it's really just a cutting and folding. So I've got that shape, and I've got a bit of a longer cocktail skewer there. I'm going to use the other one I'm going to use, and you may have this or may not, is some wire. So be careful with these sharp bits here. We're thinking about your eyes when you're poking out. So to make this little shape, again we're going back to our tree shape, and so I've already got an oblong shape of paper, pattern paper. You may have some sort of a higher quality wrapping paper that will suffice. It needs to have a little bit of strength in it because you're going to be folding it. So what I've done with this oblong shape to make a really easy tree shape is folded it across lengthways. I've already drawn, and you've got your ruler if you want to be really precise again. I've drawn across there, just from the corner to the corner, and that gives me a guide just for cutting that shape out. I was always taught with scissors, never cut right to the end, it gives you a smooth edge, so just keep cutting a long way. So now there we are, I have two different light paper, okay, so that's flying away already. So these are my tree shapes. I've got that shape, and I've got this shape as well, a little bit smaller to me, because you can see the two tree shapes I've got there. Here are, really simply, is just folding and pleating. So fairly thick pleat. You fold across, you turn it over, and you fold back on itself again. And you do that all the way to the top. So even if you find it a little bit difficult to handle the scissors, or if you find it difficult to do the really fine things, folding and turning on a thick pleat might be something that you can do. Just need a table, something firm in front of you to be able to rest on. So this paper very handily has got some lines on it at the back, so I can match my pleats along. And then when you put it, it's like a little concertina. So in each one of these bits now, what I'm going to do, I'll need to put glasses on for this. That'll protect your eyes as well if you've got any glasses. It's not quite a dangerous craft, but just be careful. I've used a darning needle with this, but again, just be careful with how you're getting the hole through. You don't want too big a hole because you need it to give the strength for the tree and the paper. So all I'm doing is poking this wire through each little piece of paper as it goes up the tree. And it needs to be, you'll be able to follow the line because it's the line you folded the card, the paper on in the first place. So it's just all the way up there through the middle, right in the middle. And we'll show you some close-ups of this a little bit later so you can see. And we're really nearly at the top. Keep my wire. Now, and as I pull that down, there's a little magic tree there, look. And actually I'm lucky with this paper because it's double-sided, so depending on my colour scheme I can go with either one of those. I mean, it's fine like that. If you want to finish it off, again, I've got some of these lovely sequin things that just put the little star on the top of the tree. But it's fine on its own. And then that would join, I'll probably join my other trees up here. I'll probably put it in with the green and red ones. got different heights there. And you'll see as well the little one. So again, I've got a little piece of paper there, and that tree would have turned, this is the one I made earlier in those famous words. So that was a little one that I made that went with this little set. I just happened to have some black and white paper with some music on it, so it was able just to cut the shape out of that. If you don't have anything there to stick it on, the thing that I found at home, and you might have some of these or you might not, and these are just a cork, and it's just a cocktail stick. If you get it in the right way, might just need a bit of pressure to get in there. Might have to make a hole in that, and that will hold itself in there. I'll turn it around now. Use the pointy end to get it in. And we were looking at these as if you were having people round. As we come up, you know, we're spending time with family inside over for a few lovely days. Maybe a place name, who knows? You could do all sorts with that. You know, make that something personal to you and your family. So there's those two shapes of trees now. And now for this final tree shape, this is where you need to go out in the garden and get some twigs. So some dry wood, drier the better, a little bit straight if you can manage that, and smooth. Maybe some rosemary if you've got it, but if you're not, don't worry. And then any collection of ribbons, colours, variety of colours. So the shiny parcel tape or ribbon that you might have taken off gifts in the past. This one's a little bit thicker than the other one. Either way you can cut them off. And for that also you'll need some scissors and maybe some glue as well. So the last kind of tree we can make. So this is things that I found in the garden. Yes, I was out there in the rain this morning. But these are just some dried twigs. So we've got a couple of different ways of using these. A little bit unfamiliar tree shape, that certainly is at the moment. But this will be when you have a look at it. So there's two different things. I've got the twigs, I've got the ribbon, and I've got this kind. So I've got two different kinds of ribbon. So there's this sort of shiny ribbon that you can get from, you know, for packaging gifts and things. So they've made these two different kinds of tree, and they don't have to stand up in a pot, but you can also put a loop on, and they can also hang on one of the branches as well. If you've got a little hanging device on it, that might be a bit heavy. You're going to stay there? Yes. So, and this is just a different little sort of modern, I don't know, avant-garde looking little tree, but it has got a little tree shape, and I quite like the messiness of that. So neither of these you have to be worried about being too precise. They're just a little bit of gravel to make a nice little display there. So we're going to do this one first here with the different kinds of ribbon. So you can see what I've already started here, and again I've gone for a colour theme, for me the season, and I've gone for tartan. Thinking about the colours that I've got in this ribbon, so I've used some purple, I've used some green, I've used some red. This is quite a stiff ribbon, and that's really helped to keep the shape out. You can use some of the other ribbon, this sort of red ribbon here that I've got. And if you do not tie it, it doesn't need to be really tight, just to keep its shape. So you need to fill it as much as you can. I mean, this one here I've not done with so much, but when you're filling this in here, I'm trying to fill in as many of the gaps as I can. And don't worry about the struggly bits, we'll deal with those later. So again, here I am, I'm going to just cut a length of ribbon. It's very rough, it's just to it, it doesn't have to be precise, there's no measuring particularly, it's just all by sort of sight really. Watch out with those scissors. Just take that bit of sellotape off the end there. I'm just going to put that around, and this is where you just need to be quite firm with your tying and filling in all the gaps. Now you will find when you're tying, just that you will need to try and manoeuvre it a little bit so that it becomes an even little branch when it's done. So I'm tying it quite firmly there. And you can turn it around so all the ties are around the back. So as you can see there, one that I made earlier. So I'm just adding to that, and I've gone all the way up there. The way to make some of those little bits, as you'll know, to make them nice and curly, is just to hold a little bit of some scissors on them and just pull, and they bring up a nice little curl. So you can make the shape with those, with scissors, to make them curl. So that's one way. Or you can just trim off to make the shape as it goes up to make the Christmas tree shape. So I'm just going to trim some of the bits at the top. If you've got a thicker ribbon like this tartan ribbon, I've just made sure that I've angled those all in the same direction, so at least it gives that shape of the tree shape as it gets wider at the bottom. So I'm making sure that each side is the same there. So I don't know if you manage or if someone else needs to do the cutting for you. Sometimes scissors are hard, aren't they? Maybe someone could cut the ends of the ribbon ready for you, and then you can do the tying. Maybe you can just choose in the colours. Either way, or maybe you're choosing the sticks as well. Either way, there'll be some way to be involved in that. Here we are with rosemary and the stick. And what I'm tying on this with is a little bit of garden wire or florist wire. Now you may not have that at home, in which case the ribbon will be fine. But it's just to keep it a little bit firmer. And then once I've got that in place, then I can tie the ribbon round as I did before. And you may not want to use a lot of ribbon, or maybe you're really happy just to use a little bit at the bottom and just pushing it through the shape of the tree. But there's something nice about that with the rosemary on it, and have that in your house in a little while and it will certainly give you a nice smell. So those are those two tree shapes, and then the last little tree shape to show you is, I'll put that bit of ribbon away so you can see it. Oops, spread all the sparkle bits there. Again, so a nice little twig from the garden. The straighter the better, and this is just to make that sort of bit of a modern tree shape, a little bit of a different shape, depends what you like. And then this is that ribbon that I was talking about, the parcel ribbon. I've got all sorts of different colours. You take your little bit and you just fold it, you tie it on just as you were before. Now these, you will see, you really do need to pack them in and make lots of them all the way up. So I've got a number of colours. Again, I'm just keeping those all the same mixture of colours to be effective. Some of them are curlier than others, but don't worry, you can catch up with the curliness. So fold those over and tie them in, and again you're going to go all the way up the twig. Oops, this tree's not wanting to stay down. So, and space them out with the colours that you want and the shapes. So just to show you that, you'll see how close that is. So I can't see a lot of twig under that, and that gives you the shape. And again, you can trim that, or you can pull it so that it gives you the curly shape. And that again, that's standing in there. So that really brings us to the end of our little craft session here. Maybe you'll like to try some of those little experiments of craft and just see how you get on with them. And if not, then well, I just hope you've enjoyed watching someone else do it for you. Maybe you can share it with your family. Maybe it's something nice to look forward to doing all together. Otherwise, it's been really lovely to bring this to you today, and we look forward to seeing you soon.